But first up tonight, look, there's an old saying, and it goes that the truth will set you free. Clearly it's been lost on the Andrews administration. I can't think of a more egregious crime to impose upon your people than a leader who misleads his or her subjects during a time of deadly crisis. Now, at a time when Victorians are dying by the day because of a second COVID wave, the Premier Daniel Andrews is telling an inquiry that he was never offered help from the ADF to patrol hotels.
I don't believe ADF support was on offer, and ADF support has been provided in very limited circumstances in New South Wales, not to provide security as such, but to provide transportation from the airport to hotels. So again, I think it is fundamentally incorrect to assert that there was hundreds of ADF staff on offer and somehow someone said no.
Yet in a statement, Federal Defence Minister Linda Reynolds very quickly put that to bed. She offered up dates and emails on how many times the ADF offered up that support. And here's what it said. ADF officials asked whether Victorian authorities required assistance with its mandatory quarantine system on multiple occasions. No request for quarantine support was subsequently received from Victoria. It clearly showed a desperate and hapless Victorian Premier prepared to deflect blame at any cost to anybody other than himself. And herein lies the problem with such an arrogant, out-of-touch government. Andrews has blustered and obfuscated on issues since he became Labor leader in Victoria. He's been aided and abetted by a compliant media in Victoria who foster and encourage his lack of transparency. But here's where his arrogance came unstuck. Now, you can lie about a scandal where you put Labor people into electorate offices to run campaigns while on the public purse. That was the so-called red shirt scandal. But nobody died. You can lie about branch stacking and dismiss it as the ramblings of a rogue operative. But nobody died. But when you put the health of your people at risk, many paying the ultimate price, and you try to shift the blame through an absolute whopper, the public are just not going to cop it. Andrews must resign. The Victorian Premier must resign. He's now becoming an embarrassment to Australian politics. This is the sort of stuff you borrow from the playbook of Putin. MH17 comes to mind. Or China. If he was honourable, he'd fall on his sword. But of course, that's not part of his MO. He'll stick around, and every day that he's Premier, he'll remind Victorians of his abject failure at protecting them from this hideous virus. You had one job, Daniel Andrews, and the rest of the country is also paying for it as well.